just found that more of women's health problems are because of men being nasty, not washing their butt or their hands. Y'all, look at this. That's right. They finally do some research on this because we know they don't care. Did you know that all of the itchy, burning, fishy smell, all the stuff that women experience on a regular basis, that's because men are nasty. I mean, this just seems like common sense, right? They have been blaming us for all these health problems down there when it's nasty men doing it. Now, before I get into this article, there's so much research just now starting to see, well, why might women have miscarriages too? You know, why all these problems with people who are literally birthing humanity, that maybe 50% of that might be about someone else because their DNA is involved. Like, I can't believe they are just now studying. I mean, of course I can. Of course I can. Patriarchy is always going to blame women for everything, basically. But especially anything that is like any partly a man's fault is going to be our fault. But I think a lot of it probably would come down to sperm, even though they've always thought of it being a problem with the mom and her health and her just being not able to do it without, having all these miscarriages. Like, what's wrong with her? Besides men's habits, being drinkers, smokers, not exercising, not eating well, not taking care of themselves. Also, just, infections, and, not washing their butt. All kinds of stuff. Like, men just don't take care of themselves. Even when they have a wife who literally does all this stuff for it, they still are just like, and I've said this before, as someone who used to work craft services in the film industry, all these men would come to work and their wife said, "Don't tell my wife." Their wife gives them food or tries to get them healthy, and then they go to work and eat donuts all day. But anyway, the point is, men not taking care of themselves, I am telling you, this is in every possible way. This falls on women. As y'all know, I tend to talk about it more in a social aspect, like my viral article, Men Have No Friends and Women Bear the Burden, how much it literally impacts us, that men will not fix their mental health and their social health. They're literally making a itchy and burning and maybe even, causing miscarriages and all kinds of issues around birthing children. But I want to talk about, and this one is about BV, bacterial vaginosis. Even the CDC, because they have done so little real research on this, or I don't know, maybe it was men drawing these conclusions. What is it? It's an imbalance of good and harmful bacteria. Don't douche, make sure you're using condom. And if you have multiple sex partners and, all that, if you're a little slut, if you're out there hoeing around, you could cause this to yourself. You're at risk. We also do not know how sex causes BV. God, it's so fun. It's so obvious to me. And any woman who has slept with men, right? Especially women who sleep with uncircumcised men, right? Which is a lot of women around the world. I know in the US it is not necessarily that way. And this is not against uncircumcised. I actually find it to be a very weird, cruel thing, in my opinion. But the problem is a lot of men already don't take care of themselves. So if they have all this extra skin down there and they're getting the fermentation all over the place. So they can sometimes be nasty. But these are the symptoms. This is the stuff we have to deal with. Turns gray, white, green, foul smelling, fishy, itching, burning, right? And that must be because we're little sluts. We just, we like to fuck too much, right? When all along, it seems to me that perhaps it's more about the men, right? Not always. But I am telling you, the most times that I've ever had this is because I was forking dudes, right? I was celibate for 12 of my adult years, as I've told before, not consecutively, like 5 years, didn't touch them, didn't mess with them, lived my best life, did amazing things. Raft guide, climbing and stuff. All the fun stuff I did is because I was not messing with men. I was dating myself and, focusing on myself. And every time I tried to, get involved with them, especially if I dated any of them, which was very rare, didn't happen until my late 30s, I started having problems with this because, I wasn't necessarily using a condom if I was in a relationship with him. And we know that actually women who are in monogamous relationships are just as susceptible to STIs as women who are not. I don't know if you know that, but research shows that. Like, it's just because you're married doesn't mean you're not going to get an STI. Especially if a man is like on the down low, which a lot of them are. They could just be out there doing whatever, fucking whoever, right? And bring it home. And you think that you're safe. But here's the thing, even if they're not cheating or doing all this stuff, they're just not washing it. And that's forking you. And the irony of all this is that men have been making fun of us in that area for the longest time. When I went to Sweden my first time, some people made a joke and they are like, go say this to the bartender in Swedish. So I went to the bartender and I came back and they're like, ha, you just told the bartender, my pussy smells like fish. This is such a joke all over the world, or at least the parts of the world I've been in. When I was a teenager, I remember, I'm not going to say your name in case you ever see this, and you're lucky that I'm not, but one of my guy friends in my circle told all of this, that his girlfriend, she had discharge that was green. And everyone in high school for the rest of her high school career called her Slimer. Slimer! And guess what? That green discharge was probably because this guy had a nasty, nasty bacterial, and yet she got called Slimer. So this pisses me off so much, how much women are our reputations, our mental health, our everything, but literally our health can be impacted by men not washing. God! Well, I even if you are in a monogamous, please wear condoms. I swear to God, don't trust any of these forkers. But let's just go over this real quick. And by the way, if you love my work and appreciate me, please follow my Patreon. That's what's paying my bills right now. The algorithms really aren't. I make a fourth less money now than I did a year ago with a third as many followers. I don't understand the math on that, but Patreon is literally what pays my bills. So if you want me to keep going, please think about supporting me if you can, or at least watch hours and all that stuff. And please thank my Patreon people. This is brought to you thanks to them. I know not everyone can afford, so comments, shares, watch hours, that all help. And I actually have some stuff I'm going to offer really soon, but I can't tell you about it yet because it's not done. Thanks to Rosie. So in this article, they're like, so treatment is often unsuccessful with 60% of BV cases within a year, keeping women stuck in a destructive cycle of going on and off antibiotics. And that's the thing. Antibiotics are like a great thing, but but not if you do it a lot. I use them when I'm really, really sick, but antibiotics are not good for your body to be taking often. And yet women are stuck in this cycle of having this thing come up and having to get treated for it. And then they tried a new treatment that was so successful, they wanted to stop the trial early so that everyone could access it instead of the study. Look at this. The key, treating women's male partner. This one doctor said patients and providers are going to need renewed education on this because this is such groundbreaking research. To me, it's like duh research. But again, when the default is to blame women for everything that's wrong in their lives, especially if it involves men, then of course this is not something that they really bothered to study. And when they did, they got it wrong, but I'll get to that in a second. And here's the thing, infected people with this infection, not only is it all those, symptoms already mentioned, but they're at greater risk of developing other STIs, such as chlamydia, HIV, as well as pelvic inflammatory disease, and BV in pregnant women is also associated with an increased risk of preterm birth. So it affects that too, along with men's health being awful, and then they're like baby gravy's nasty. The standard treatment is a week-long course of antibiotics taken either orally or vaginally. But its high recurrence rate means that patients have to get treated over and over and over 5, 6, 10 times, which can impact the quality of life and their schmegma life. But honestly, if they're not getting like O's from the schmeg, what is the point? Like, just cut these men off. They're not eating or paying attention to the kitty. But anyway, look at this. Once they, like, even after people are taking all this antibiotics for so long, as soon as they stop, it comes back. In this study in Australia, researchers gave 83 monogamous couples the standard treatment of a 7-day course of antibiotics for the female partner. Meanwhile, 81 other monogamous couples received treatment for the male partner too, which included a 7-day course of oral antibiotics and a topical antibiotic that was applied to, this is key, y'all. This will come in really important in a second. After 12 weeks, 35% of the women in the partner treatment group had BV again, compared to 63% in the standard group. So the couples where the penis was treated had half as much rate of recurrence. Half. And just in case men are like, I'm not putting anything on my thing, just like I will never, get a vasectomy or do a male birth control because I don't want to be inconvenienced. You get the IUD that's so painful without any pain management. You do the things that messes up all these things, has all these side effects. You do it when all I can do is, but I won't. Just for any of those men who are like, no, I'm scared. Look. No side effects experienced. You have no reason to not do this. If your partner has this coming up all the time, there's no excuse other than entitlement, misogyny, hatred, and lack of respect for your partner. That's it. That's the only excuse. A few reported nausea, headaches, metallic taint. Okay, never mind. Let's ditch it. Let's put her on weeks of antibiotics again and again and again and again and again and again and again with all the symptoms like burning, itching, all that crap. You have your headache. Potential risk factors for BD recurrences include having intrauterine device or having sex with an unharmonized partner. Again, I find that people in the United States, or anybody who sleeps with men in the United States, has a more are kind of scared sometimes of uncircumcised, where once you leave the U.S., it is the norm. I don't know what the statistic, I can look up this, but the majority of around the world are not circumcised. I think that's a good thing. But you gotta take care of it! Because again, if they will literally not clean their butt because they think water pouring over it is enough, they're definitely not getting in there and cleaning all those wrinkles. So for decades, reproductive health experts have suspected that BD was sexually transmitted. Over 20 years ago, while doing research in Central and East Africa, the Dr. Bradshaw found that recurrence was double or triple in women who had ongoing. So what's the common denominator? Having sex with men. Having sex with a penis. They're not just randomly having these things a lot of the times. It's because they're letting nasty, dirty anywhere near them. And I also want to say that I think a lot of women, including myself, we just assume that until we get up close and personal with some of these nasty eggplants, we just assume that they would be taking care of themselves. It never occurs to us that maybe it's nasty down there. Maybe they don't clean that often, right? Which is another reason. One of my proudest moments as a feminist was hooking up with this French dude here. And he was like, do you want to give me a hum? And I was like, no. And even if I did, it would only be because you ate my first. And he's like, oh, that's too intimate for me. I'm like, really? You don't think me choking on something and it going way down my throat is somehow less intimate than you licking the out like that? He's like, yeah, but it's sometimes it's not clean. I'm like, have you ever worked men? You honestly want me to think that men are cleaning, knowing women and the expectation and how much we are and the media and how we are, so paranoid about smelling You honestly want to tell me you think men are cleaner down there than women? He's like, good point. He's like, damn, you really are a feminist. I was like, thank you. And I never forked him again. Anyway, a lot of us end up in these situations because it doesn't occur to us in, like, maybe we're not inspecting it, right? And it doesn't occur to us until we're already maybe naked, that maybe it's, and maybe we can't see how nasty it is, that they're not washing. It never occurred to me. The same way it never occurs to me that a man might like want to unalive me by driving me off of a cliff until he actually tried to, because I don't want to do that. It doesn't occur to me that was a possibility. You know? So start assuming that every man you deal with is not washing his butt or his until proven otherwise. It's been so normalized, even Miranda and Steve. I still owe you so many videos about that. That lawyer, corporate lawyer, was washing the underwear that is full of shit off of his underwear because the man doesn't wipe. And it was just a joke, an inside joke, because duh, that's just how men's underwear is. And yet they've been blaming us for BV all along. But here's the thing. They got it wrong for a while because they did this little experiment and men were given antibiotics and then it didn't reduce the rates. And so they're like, oh, it must not be true. It must literally be women's fault. It's all women's fault. But, and they even said, these studies said, oh, it's not an STI and it was really the nail in the coffin. Since then, however, researchers have concluded that those failed studies had significant flaws. What was the main one? That they were only using oral antibiotic and not addressing the bacteria that lived in the eggplant. The new research is only the ones that use both. The findings of this study represents a paradigm shift that may even lead to medical bodies like the CDC changing their treatment guidelines. Let's hope. It's time for men to take shared responsibility for treating this infection. So from here on out, your partner, hookups, any of that stuff, your husband, assume he has not showered and washed it and it's nasty and could give you BV until proven otherwise. No more benefits of the doubt. None. And please join my Patreon. Come to my lives. I have watch parties. I have so much stuff coming up. Travel content, personal stories. Patreon. Thank you, Patreon. And let me know if you heard the comment song. Nasty, nasty, nasty comment song. Freaking a big old burger, nasty pillow. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Nasty comment song. If you're new here, I sing a random song at the end because it's fun. Nasty, nasty pillow, nasty comment song. They're so nasty. And even the furniture's nasty. Nasty, nasty. Everything's a clutter. Fucking mess. Blah. And the worst of it is the toes. Oh, sorry, y'all. Didn't mean to make you want to barf, but you know whose toes are beautiful? This little baby. Not nasty, although he's kind of nasty. Dogs are nasty. Anyway, comment song. Let me know if you heard the nasty comment song. Mows in his toes.